You are tuned into the Foxworth Theory, and I am your host, Eugenia Foxworth. And our special guest is Rhea McCauley, the niece of one of our most famous icons, Rosa Parks. Now, Rhea,
Yes.
what has been the toughest part of this journey for you and your family, besides what you have explained already to our audience?
The toughest part is because I was such a troublemaker when I was a kid, is trying to tell the rest of the family, look, we got to be organized. This, stuff that we're going through now with Auntie Rosa and her legacy should not bleed down into the next generation. The toughest part was to look into my daughter's face and see her crying over some of the things that had happened to Auntie Rosa. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah, over some of the stuff that Auntie Rosa has suffered. So, yeah, that's been the toughest part. As a parent, you always say you can come at me and try to fuss and beat me up, but don't mess with my kids. Please, people, don't mess with my kids. And so as my daughter was crying, I'm like, wow, this is not right. We've got to do something about this. Yeah, that's the toughest part.
Okay. So the rebellious life of Rosa Parks is set for a documentary on Peacock.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the documentary?
Well, I want to give a big shout out to Soledad O'Brien, because I know she does quality work, and I knew that she would handle Auntie Rosa in the right manner. And a shout out to Professor Jean Theo Harris that wrote The Rebellious Life of Rosa Parks. It's an excellent book to me. I went through it, and I think she did a really good job. And plus, she shined a light on. There's no possibility that this person could be a pushover and did what she did. Now, Auntie Rosa stayed out in the field, which I call it, when you're speaking and when you're traveling and all this other stuff to benefit the rights of others as well as yourself. She did that until she was in her 80s, until she just couldn't do it anymore. What a beautiful example for the rest of us. So that means that, look, I don't have to stop. I'm going to do this until the day I pass on. Absolutely. Absolutely. And every baby from birth should say that, should believe it, should feel it, should think it. These, I have my own thoughts in particular on what would be beneficial for young people. But the United States must stop murdering Black people. If they would stop, like say today, after our interview, the United States said, you know what? Murdering Black people is wrong. So we are going to stop it across the board. No more murders. This country could grow by leaps and bounds. I mean, this country could do wondrous things. But because she cannot unattach herself from the racism, from white supremacy, she's going down. I mean, why would you persist in doing something where you know you're getting terrible results, but you're just going to continue it? It makes no sense. And so from the standpoint of a child and a grandmother, I'm looking back. I would love to send my grandchildren to the store and have them come back just the way I sent them out, not murdered because somebody thought that melanin was somehow a crime. I would love that. I would love to live that way. We must explain to our children the truth. We must tell, like they talk about critical race theory, we must tell the little white kids the truth so that they can stop it. It could stop overnight if the United States wanted to, but apparently she doesn't.
Well, I think that the apple didn't
I'm sorry.
fall far from the tree. Okay, so So now getting back to the film that's being done,
Yes.
how involved are you and the family in this creative process of this movie?
Well, the family is very much involved.
Good.
Um, I step back because as the president of our family foundation, I have so many things on my plate, and I'm like, why should I do all the work? My family, they're wonderful people. Let them step up and say how they feel. Just tell the truth. Say how you feel about Auntie Rosa, how it was about growing, how it felt growing up with her. Um, it's 8 girls. So out of my sisters, I was the one that went and stayed. I lived with Auntie Rosa in my high school. So it was about a year, so I have a lot of experiences, but I actually lived with her. That was more than the Sunday dinners and going to church and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah. I stepped back and I let the rest of the family, and I'm sure that Soledad, like I said, she'll do a good job, Auntie Rosa.
I'm sure that she will. I am sure.
Yes.
And yeah, and because a part of her history is up north of New York, up where Rhode Island
Oh,
was.
oh,
Yes.
Lord have mercy.
So I know that this will be good.
Ooh.
Now, the other thing is, how do you feel that what will they walk away with knowing about your aunt? How will this film impact the viewers? I know just listening to you, how it's impacting me just for the house alone. I do know the history, but would you like to tell me in your words?
Um, what will they walk away with? Well, first, the premise of the book, The Rebellious Life of Rosa Parks, which Jean Theo Harris, she actually researched about 10 years to put that book together.
Mhm.
She met me happenstance. I was at a speech. I was giving a speech. And she said, "Oh, you're Mrs. Parks' niece." And so I didn't have to explain to her there was Auntie Rosa and there was father, the 2 kids, and her brother is my father. I didn't have to go through all that with her. So she interviewed me. And like I said, when the book was published, I went and bought a copy. I read it and I said, wow, this is nice. What people can take away from it, I know I talk a lot, but what people can take away from the rebellious life is that, look, here is the most unlikely person, quiet, demure, just a saintly, type person. She was honest, she was truthful, she was thrifty, she was everything. If God could take a person like that and give them the assignment of saying, you will sit on that bus and you will say no, and you won't move, and you'll believe in me. You'll believe in me, and I'll have your back. I won't let them hurt you. I won't let them lynch you. I won't let them beat up your husband. I won't let them kill your mom, grandma. Just do this for me, my namesake. That's what I think people will take away from it. Because you have to have a spine of stainless steel to hold up against these people. Well, a lot of times, even though we have stainless steel spines, we're still human and we still hurt. And in order to accomplish something, sometimes you have to take the hurt and put it aside. Trust in God, trust in Him. When He says that I will be there for you, He's going to be there for you. I've come through so many near misses and things where my associates and friends and family have not made it. They are not here now. They can't speak to a beautiful person like you, or attend an interview or a speech, or, bus somewhere. You know, I'm still here. And it's all because of His glory, His mercy. And that's what I think people will take away from it. You know, look, you can be beautiful, you can be kind, you can be honest. I don't have to misuse anybody. You can be demure, you can be intelligent, and you can still be rebellious. And when something is wrong, it's wrong. Like William Shakespeare, he said, something is rotten in Denmark. Well, the Jim Crow laws were rotten in Denmark. You know, look, Jane Elliott, she said it best. She said, okay, I want you talking to a group of a white audience. Stand up if you'll take the place of any Black person, right? Everybody sat down. She said, oh, you misunderstood me. I said, stand up if you would change places with any Black person. And she said, now see, that tells you right there, you know, that's what is happening is wrong. Like William Shakespeare, something is rotten in Denmark.
Yes. I love your thoughts. I love your
Thank
sense
you.
of humor, but
Thank
that's
you.
what we need, you know. I'm somewhat of a rebel and I can get over because of the way that I speak. And I remember once someone said, well, it was the dean of St. John, that a former dean of St. John the Divine.
Mhm.
And he said, it's good you're in the background, because if you weren't, people would be throwing cinder blocks at you. So
Oh,
I respect what you're doing.
oh,
No, he
thank
meant it in a
you.
positive. It was
Oh,
like what you're doing. You've always been a rebel, but not really. It seems to me that you speak your mind and you fight for that which you feel is important. And that's
thank
all a
you.
part of your lineage.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
yeah. So what do you, you know, you've already said what you felt, but
Mm.
one thing that you want people that are going to watch the documentary, what do you want them to walk away with?
I want them to walk away with the fact that Auntie Rosa, deep down inside, not the public Auntie Rosa, but the other Auntie Rosa that is human, how her heart hurt, but she still barreled on. She did the work that she was born to do. And that's for all of us. You discover your work and then you just do it. I want them to walk away with feeling that she was one of the blessed people on our planet that was able to affect everybody's life in such a positive way. I want them to walk away with that good feeling, you know, like you watch a good movie and you walk out and your chest is stuck out and you say, yeah, I can conquer the world. But then you get back home and you say, oh man, I got these bills. But you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
You know, it's the same feeling we got when we had oh, what's his name? The Black Panther.
Yes.
Yes, Bozeman. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, that man. But it was that same feeling. And it kept saying, why are people, Black people, flocking to see this movie? It was that strong, masculine, brave Black man that we fell in love with. I went like 4 or 5 times. I couldn't stop looking at it because here on the screen for our children to see was this leader that he did not stop. And so, you know, it was that feeling. That's how I want people to walk away from this documentary.
Oh, thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
And in your words, do you feel that Rosa Parks has been celebrated enough?
No, it's just like Dr. King and
Mhm.
Malcolm X. You know, you don't murder me and then name a street after me and say, oh, that's enough. No, we have to go deep into our research and our history and extract what Dr. King was all about. When I did Dr. King's face, you can't see it, but Dr. King was actually on black paper, so his face is coming out of a black image. But what I had to do was go back into Dr. King's childhood, pull that out of him, and project it onto the canvas. When I did Malcolm X's face, here's this beautiful man, but what happened was that he was beat. So he always allowed you to photograph this profile, not the profile where his nose, the bone here, had been dislodged. But you could tell from teenage years to the full-grown Malcolm man years that he had been beat, he had been tortured. To bring out the beauty of that personality, you must research and you must study. And this is the same thing for any young person. Go back, find out about his parents, his grandparents, his great-grandparents, because all these people produced Auntie Rosa, Dr. King, Malcolm X, all these people produced this person so that the personality comes out and it's like a beautiful rose so that the rest of us can partake of what that life was all about. That journey is everything. So if you keep asking me questions, I'll keep talking.
Well, that's why you're here. And your story and your love and your rebellious nature is
Yes.
that important. Yes.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
what do you feel that your Auntie Rosa, see, I'm not used to saying that. I say Rosa Parks, but I'm listening to you. What would she say about where we are today?
She would be
What do you think?
well, I think that she would be most unhappy about the progress of what they sacrificed for, the civil rights, the breaking apart of the Jim Crow laws. I think she would be unhappy because she would be saying, instead of going forward, marching forward, like a soldier, we're going back to the 50s. I don't know what to tell America at this point. I really don't. I wish I had the words to say, look, people, we have to do something about this. The good people, over in Germany, they said it. If the good people stand up, the bad people won't be able to get away with what they're getting away with. But the good people must stand up. If you can't do anything else, you can email, you can write a letter, or you can make a phone call. Those are things that's easy to do. And that's a part of protesting as well. Don't just sit idly by and let things happen. You know it's wrong. When I saw when George Floyd was on the ground, and I said that this guy is squeezing the life out of him. He's squeezing, and we're witnessing this. And I said, what is wrong with us where we think that that's right? Now, see, these criminals that keep murdering people, they better be glad I'm not in control, because there would be no trial, because we just seen it. Millions of people all over the globe seen that. We witnessed a murder on TV. So please, people, please, I would say stop the murders. Stop it. Mm-hmm. And I would also say there's another lesson that Auntie Rose would probably say, look, Black people, we must love ourselves. We must love our hair. We must love our nose, our lips. We must love our skin, our body shapes, all tones and beauty. Beauty, we must love each other. And that's what I would say for Black people. But, I don't know. If the world refuses to change, I don't know what Auntie Rosa would say about this. She never wanted her family, her nieces and nephews to suffer the way she did. But as a parent, there's things you cannot protect your children from, even though you would want to. Like I would like to I have 5 children, so I would have 5 separate rooms, lock the door, slide the food under the door, and never let them out, because that's how much you love. And if you say, I would give my life for this person is a part of me, and when I don't have you over some foolishness, a part of me has died. So yeah, that's what I think she would be most displeased. Let's get up and we could change this overnight. We could do it overnight. It's just a changing of the thought processes. Like Spike Lee says, do the right thing. That's all. Just do the right thing. Nobody's asking you to marry me or, have a family with me. I'm asking you to look at what's happening, do the right thing. Do the right thing.
Yes, and I agree with you. But do you think that your aunt knows how loved she was by so many people?
Um, Auntie Rosa kept the facade, so her public image was quite different from the one that would come home after a hard day's work and just plop in a chair because she's so tired. Um, she kept that facade up. So she would always say that bad things have happened to me, but my discussion of those bad things is not going to help anybody. I think this generation is beginning to realize that we have to know what happened during this sin called slavery. We have to know, even though I might cry, even though I might feel bad, I still have to know. And so what happens is that she never wanted us to suffer. And so the bad things like the lynchings and the raping, she never talked about, but you knew they were there. You knew it. So I I pray all the time for our young people. If they only knew what they, Dr. King sacrificed everything. Do you know Dr. King only, and Malcolm X too, had maybe 3 or 4 good suits? 3 or 4. And he would speak and he just sounded like he would fill his lungs and his voice box and project it out to the crowd. And whoa. But this is what I'm saying. When you love something, you're not in it for money, for fame, for glory. You're doing it because you love the people. You love them. And that's Auntie Rosa's best example.
And what are you most proud of concerning your aunt?
I'm proud of her ability. Most proud. Most proud is excellent. Most. I'm most proud of those in between times. Between the speeches and the people flocking around. Oh, Miss Parks, Miss Parks. I'm most proud of her downtime because, in business, they say, oh, it's up and down, it's up and down. But actually, it's up and across. It's up and across. So you're growing. So her downtime, the across time, was filled with projects. It was filled with doing things that were helping people. I mean, Auntie Rosa dragged me over this lady's house and she was showing her how to preserve food, canning, freezing. And so here I am chopping up greens and onions, and Auntie Rosa's over there and she's got the canner going and the jars and disinfecting. And I said, wow, look at this lady. I'm most proud of those times. And that's what I want to share with the world. She was such a beautiful, beautiful, what an example. What an example. You know, she's not that little mousy.
Mhm.
She's not.
She was a giant.
Absolutely.
And yes. And at this moment, we have to take a quick break, but we'll
Okay.
be right back. And I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of your story or the beginning of your story, Rhea McCauley.
Okay.
You've just tuned in. You are watching the Foxworth Theory, and I am your host, Eugenia Foxworth, and today's guest is Rhea McCauley. Now, Rhea, what's next for you?
Oh, the sky is the limit. We are a creative family. You wonder what happened with fathers and mothers, 13 children. We're teachers, we're philosophers, we're artists, um, we're social workers, we're people like that. Um, what's next for me? Because we are the creative source for Auntie Rosa's legacy. I mean, I can only say the sky is the limit. Isn't that amazing? The sky is the limit. Because just in case somebody else is doing something for Auntie Rosa, we just change it up. Just like Black people have always done. We create something else, something more beautiful, something more giving, something more prosperous. So yeah, the sky is the limit. I'm looking forward to it because if the world thinks it's got a problem with me, wait until my nieces and nephew and my kids, where they pop up and they're like, yes, let's do this. And it's something beautiful, something positive for the rest of the world. Yeah.
And I totally agree. Look what happened to you. You spent a year with Rosa Parks, and there is so much within you. And as you say, you've been rebellious. No, you've been true to yourself.
Well, thank you. So
Yes,
wonderful.
yeah. And also, you're an artist.
Yes.
Artists have always been in the forefront,
Thank you.
always.
Mhm, mhm.
And and being an artist, you do expose your soul, whereas most people, if they're corporate heads or whatever, they don't, because when you're painting or
Yes.
sculpting or
Oh,
whatever you're doing or you're
oh,
singing,
yes,
you're exposing yourself. And
yes,
that is strength,
yes, yes.
that is
Yes.
strength. So how can everyone follow you on social media?
Well, there's a couple of ways, but I always say, look, email me. You can write me a letter. My email address, of course, is my name, Rhea, RHEA _ McCauley at yahoo.com. And you just spell McCauley just like Auntie Rosa's maiden name, 2 C's. Yes,
Mhm.
just email me. I hope nobody is the troll. Please don't troll me because I will block you.
I am sure that you will. And now I noticed behind you before we go, the painting
Yes,
to the left of Malcolm X. Tell me
yes.
about that.
I did this in 2005 as an artist. If I can't have you, because Auntie Rosa, we shared with the rest of the world. If I can't have you, what I do is create a little piece of you to hang on my wall, or to, as a sculpture, sit in my house. So when we lost her in 2005, maybe selfishly, I wanted her to still be on Earth. And so I sat down with my canvas and I just started creating. So this image is Auntie Rosa, my version. And so when I finished and I was satisfied with the image, I put it on the wall and I said, now she'll be with me forever. So yeah, it's really old. 2005. Yeah.
Not that old. Be careful. Well, I want to say this has been an emotional day. It's been a happy day for me.
Yes.
And I want to thank everyone for joining us today on the Foxworth.
Thank you for joining us on the Foxworth Theory. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday at 9 p.m. on the Foxworth Theory Network.